Welcome to Dare a New Belief, a place to discover what is possible for your life after the loss of a loved one, and where you will find inspiration, insight, support, and love, and hopefully a bit of laughter to help you through your day. Now, here's your host, Nada Hogan.
Welcome to Dare a New Belief, where you will find light and life, love and joy, healing, faith, and hope. A place where you get to believe in what is possible for your life. And today I have the great honor to be joined by Carol Lowell. And Carol is here to talk all about the power of extreme self-care habits that bring a positive impact to every area of life. She is an artist, an author, a life coach, a wife, and a mother who lives in North Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. Carol has written 2 books, a full-color print book called Soul Food, a 90-day journey of self-discovery, building nourishing habits, and an ebook entitled Meditative Mandala Making. Welcome, Carol.
Oh, thanks, Nada. It's so wonderful to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you. I'm so grateful you're here. And I apologize. I have a cold and I am very nasally. So some of my words don't sound like they're coming out correctly. So I apologize if anything that I said in your bio did not come out like it was supposed to come out. But I'm so grateful that you're here, Carol. And before we even get started with this, one of the things that I want to share with the listeners is how it is that you came about being on this show. Are you okay if I share that with them, the synchronicity that happened?
Absolutely.
All right, awesome. So I know Carol Lowell from Mary Morrissey's training, becoming a dream builder coach, and then furthering that education as a life mastery consultant, which is what Carol also is certified in. And when I contacted Carol, I mean, I've known you for, I would say 3 years for sure, maybe even 4. When you popped into my head, you just popped into my head. And I contacted you. And at the same time that I contacted you, you were at an event and you were saying that you were throwing it out there that you wanted to be, well, for one, you wanted to get your book out there more, and that you were ready. What was the words exactly? How did you say it, Carol?
Well, I was in Puerto Rico on a mastermind, and it was about taking imperfect action, that taking imperfect action is better than taking no action at all. And so for me and getting my book out to the world, people aren't going to know about me unless I get out there. And so I put it out to the universe that I'm open. And of all things, here is this opportunity that you granted me, and I'm so grateful.
Yes, and I have so many notes on you that I could not find where I had written that down. So I'm sorry that I stumbled on that. But those kinds of synchronicities, and because you and I do the similar type of work, like being trained with Mary Morrissey and living, with the power within and being able to, be in alignment with your divine purpose and, coming from a certain frequency, all of that stuff. So sometimes people hear those kinds of synchronicities and they're like, oh, isn't that cool? And then just go about their business, not realizing the power in that. I mean, what are the chances that you pop into my head after all of this time, and you had just put this out shortly before I had contacted you? It's powerful, and it's just mind-boggling how this universe works. And I just wanted to share that because I find it fascinating.
And honestly, for me, I thought you saw my video because that's why you're reaching out. So it really is beautiful how this power beyond us is here to serve our greater good.
Yes, absolutely. And I did not see your video, but I did go and watch it afterwards. And it's beautiful. I love it. I love it. So we'll share all that information so the listeners will be able to go and listen to your YouTube video also. But to kick this interview off, I would like to start with asking you a few questions about, I know you have a couple of books out, but let's first dive into your book, Soul Food. And I'm saying S-O-U-L, Soul Food. That's hard to say when you're nasally. Soul is a 90-day journey of self-discovery while building nourishing habits. Why did you decide to create that book, Carol?
Well, it was the book that I wanted when I was wanting to build the collective habits that we know help ground ourselves, get to know ourselves. They're the habits that feed our souls. So they are habits like, and I had a gratitude journal. I am an artist, so I had a sketchbook where I did my creative play. I had a journal where I would write. Of course, my daily planner, I'd try to track if I meditated, how much water I was drinking, things like that. And what I really wanted was a book that had it all. And for me, I couldn't find anything, so I decided to create this. And it was such a joy to be able to take scattered bits of things that I wanted to use and have it in one place. So this book becomes as unique as its owner because it is what I call a playbook, where you make your marks on a daily basis as you delve into these habits. And over 90 days, whether they're 90 days in a row or you've tried your best because we're human. Ultimately, when you've completed 90 days, hopefully you've gained knowledge in these habits, but also decided which ones are in service to knowing yourself better.
Right. Beautiful. So when you first started this book was actually not intended to be mass produced and published for the world. This was something you were starting on just for yourself. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was. Well, what it was is it was the book that I would have loved to have had, but truthfully, the habits that are within those books, over time, I'd already made them part of my daily life. So it really wasn't in service to me other than the absolute joy of creating the book. But no, it's in service to those that would love to create habits and having it in one easy and welcoming book. And so, I actually made it in service to others.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm sorry because I misunderstood that. I thought you were making it more for yourself, and then it just became, it grew like we have these dreams, and then all of a sudden we have a dream, but then the dream takes a hold and it takes us and takes us to different places. So can you tell me, or do you remember, how long did it take you to write this book? And was it, because I know I would love to write a book, and I sat down a couple of different times, and the very first thing that pops into my head is, this is going to be so time consuming. And so I'll just stop. So how long did it take you to write your book? And did you run into those kinds of challenges also?
Yeah, actually I did. For me, so the actual building of the habits, I write about habits, things like gratitudes and why we do something we love every day and acknowledging things that we're proud of ourselves. Habits that we can grow and build on. And I think for me, I felt like I needed to do a ton of research and have all these statistics and make this a book that validated these habits. And yet, truthfully, there's so much information available to us with all that information, the data, and you can go online, you can research it. So many doctors and medical professionals and people that understand spirit, talk about the power of meditation or taking care, good sleep, blah, 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 right? So I think that what stalled me mostly was thinking I didn't have enough expertise or didn't have enough knowledge to really create this book in a way that people might need. But truthfully, there's so much information out there that really this book is about it being in one place, a collective and a beautiful book. It's got my art throughout and it's full color. And every day there's a mandala, which I created. I drew all the mandalas. And that was my meditative practice for probably a year, creating mandalas. And then deciding to create this book so that I could put those mandalas in it. So it was really a book that was envisioned for probably 2 years before, or maybe even 3, before I actually got down and built the book, is how I call it. But it only took me about 3 months once I really put my head to it, my heart to it. And it flowed so easily once I really made that decision to create. And yeah, the outcome is one that is, as I say, just a placeholder for having that space to take time out for yourself and get to know yourself better.
Absolutely. And it's so important. And I think that we tend to, as a society, downplay how important that self-care is, and just giving ourselves the time. We'll give it to family or our work or, a myriad of other things, but then to give our own self that self-love, self-compassion, self-care. I think that we don't tend to do that as often as we should, or recognize the importance of that. And so this book is so phenomenal. And I know that because I have this book. I bought it when you first had it published and you had brought it to an event. And it was like, oh my goodness, I have to have that book. And it's beautiful. It truly is a journey. I love how you talk about it being a journey, because it is, and it does nourish your soul. And I want to talk more about the book, but before we do that, I want to ask you, what habits do you believe are the most impactful, and for your own life and maybe for society?
Yeah. Well, for me, certainly journaling has been something I've done ever since I was a kid. And, it is a place where you can have those conversations that maybe you never had the confidence or the courage to have, to speak words that, write down the words, a letter to somebody that you never intend to send, but just need to get it out. The purpose of putting onto paper thoughts and feelings and just how you're processing some of the challenges that we all face, and allowing that to be a dumping ground to release that. And then the beauty of it is you can let it go at that. If that's all is required, you're done. Or you can review what you've written and see where you might want to go deeper, or what next step you might want to take in order to feel like you can have some closure with that. And so journaling has been a big part of my life ever since I was young. And also being an artist, of course, creative play to me is hugely important, but I also think it's important for everybody, because as humans, little kids come into this world with this beautiful spirit of imagination and play and fun. And there's no self-criticism. There's no judgment. It's just full, honest, and real expression of who they are. And as we grow up, we just sort of forget about that side to ourselves. So I think creativity in whatever form, so everybody's different and it's as unique as we each are. So it might be something like gardening or cooking or knitting or, working on a car, like any of those things that allow us to sort of escape thought and really get into a flow state. I mean, that's a spirit, a practice that I think all of us can benefit from connecting with. But I think the most impactful habit is one of gratitude. And that can be so, so simple. And yet, like it says, it's a